A mistake we make is thinking that Marxism is dead. That Marxism is now something that crazy people at some university talk about, but it's not really alive. It died in the 1900s. The other mistake we make is to say that Marxism is some type of economic theory. Neither one of these things is true. Marxism is not dead. And secondly, it's not an economic theory. What's happened is that Marxists realize the track record of Marxism around the world, and they do not want to call themselves Marxist anymore. They have found new titles, things that sound innocent, and you, as a right-thinking person, would feel guilty to stand against. For example, social justice, inequality and equity. And yes, there are issues on all of those topics, but there is an underlying root problem. The truth of the matter is, Marxism's not about economics. It's not about all these catchphrases. You see, the original Marxist argument was an argument against the capitalist system. The whole system of the world was flawed and it was rigged, and this system divided people. It said that the world and society and capitalist societies are divided between two groups. You have one group who owns the businesses, and they are the oppressors. And you have the workers, everybody else. They are the victims. Well, my friends, today in 2022, that's how communism works. It creates a victim class. It creates an oppressor class. And then it says that the only way to fix this is that we have to overthrow the entire system. We need to have a revolution. We need the government to take over and make everything fair. We need the government that goes to the former oppressors and make them apologize for being an oppressor, for being a Nazi, for being evil. Then we must re-educate these people into our system, and they must pay penance for what they have done. That's old Marxism, but it's repeating itself today. Because today, more than ever, our world is about control and division. Marxism is about control. Now, for the rest of what I'm going to read, just a couple of paragraphs, think about the modern situation happening in Russia, throughout Europe, throughout the world right now. Marxism is about control. The old Marxism used economics to gain control. The new Marxism uses political identity. The result is something that looks like an indescribable event that we've never seen before. And that is exactly what Zhenya was talking about a few minutes ago. This that is happening is an incredible danger to our world. This is an incredible danger to our homes, not only in America and Ukraine, but around the world. There is no reason to believe that what is happening coming out of Moscow and many other nations, this new Marxism that's trying to raise its head in Washington, D.C. and the capitals around the world, will not result in anything but what the old Marxism resulted in. And I'm telling you tonight, the reason we're here 77 nights in a row, and I give up my evenings, and Zhenya is up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're doing everything we can to funnel money and to funnel encouragement and to funnel resources, is because this must be defeated. This is a generational problem that only occurs literally in centuries. And if we neglect to take our stand, because I would rather be on the golf course tonight hitting a few chip shots, or I would rather be out to dinner, or I would rather be watching reruns of The Mentalist, then we are forfeiting our responsibility as humans and as Christians. We must confront this now and defeat it, because if we don't, it will destroy the world. What do Marxists count on? What is Vladimir Putin counting on? Why did I put the picture from Marx to Engels to Lenin to Stalin to Putin? What are they counting on? What is Putin counting on? One word: strach, fear. It's all about fear. They count on fear. We know the firsthand from our experiences, and we've watched this through decades of history. We can talk about nations like Nicaragua and Venezuela, Cuba and Germany and Russia, North Korea. Marxists do not tolerate dissent. I showed you the video last night of the little girl holding her sign up that simply said, "I'm against war," and they threw this little girl in the paddy wagon. They do not tolerate dissent. If you speak out in Marxist societies, you go to jail. You go into exile. If you speak out in New Marxism, you get banned, you get erased, you get canceled, you get fired, you go to jail, or you even get poisoned. You get called all sorts of names and you're told that you're wrong. Marxists count, listen to this. Marxists count on tolerance of the enemy. You guys need to hear that. That's the problem tonight. This is why this war has been brewing since 1848. We're trying to figure out, how can the world not understand this? Because Marxism, Vladimir Putin, and the Russian nut jobs are counting on the world having tolerance. We cannot have tolerance. Marxism is the single most evil and destructive ideology that mankind has ever known. It divides countrymen against each other by design. It divides people groups against each other by design. And whether that division is between rich and poor, or gender, race, religion, Russian or Ukrainian, Democrat or Republican, and I could list until Jesus comes, that is the basis of the fear and destruction. And this is the battle that we're watching play out in Ukraine. Can I cheer myself?
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. That, my friend, is what it's about.
We have, this is why Ukraine doesn't have tolerance. And,
that's it.
And yes, sure, based on the fear. So we have a joke in here. If Russia would invade one of the smallest countries, like the really small countries of NATO,
Estonia,
like for example Estonia, we have joke in here that the level of tolerance of the other countries of NATO would find a reason why this country could be kicked out of NATO because of some reasons. And
you're telling the truth.
And NATO would not protect it. Why? Because of own interest of the rest of the countries. Why not to sacrifice the small country?
No honor, and that is the battle that's being fought against Ukraine and the rest of the world. That's Marxism. That's Vladimir Putin. And that is what's happening.